What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Jump to Start Racing podcast. My name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my friends. They bailed on me this weekend, so
yeah.
Ruben, how you doing today?
What's going on, guys?
Yhancy.
Hi.
Today's
The reason
episode.
we bailed is because you didn't call us your closest friends last week.
Well, it's gonna happen
I'm still
again.
hurt.
It's gonna happen again. So, on today's episode, we will
crying
talk about
all week.
the most exciting race of the season. Wow, I'm just gonna keep going. The Russian Grand Prix. We'll also address
We just made it exciting.
There you go.
the post-crash news from
Monza.
I'm sorry, these guys are jerks. Okay, and then from there we will talk about a little news and go into our trivia, history, etc. for the Russian Grand Prix. Ruben, how
And
are you
predictions.
doing? Yeah, of course. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, because you came in kind of low energy. Yancy?
I had two of those ice coolers things you gave me, whatever, and they woke me up.
Those
Especially when you're hungry.
Those chulas got me smiling.
Nope.
Yes, sir.
Product placement. Truly, if you want to sponsor us, that would be terrific. All right, so let's just jump right into it. The news after the crash at Monza, Lewis Hamilton was accused of a lot of things. He was accused of, actually, I want to point out that this is an article from the Daily Mail.
Oh, very reputable.
Very, very reputable source. Ralph Schumacher believes that Lewis Hamilton overreacted after his crash with Max Verstappen, was faking it. Oh, my neck. Oh, call your insurance, that type of thing. Subsequently, Ricciardo comes out, Danny Ricciardo, who won the race, comes out. My former teammate Max Verstappen would have helped an injured Hamilton, but since he saw him reverse, didn't think it was that serious, so he just walked away.
That's more plausible.
Yep. And then we see Lewis Hamilton at the Met Gala the next day.
After he was wearing like the neck thing, right?
After he was wearing the tire on his head, on top of the helmet.
And the neck thing afterwards too.
The neck brace. Yeah.
He was wearing a neck brace?
No, for the insurance purposes.
Yeah.
Can't be spreading rumors like that, man. I didn't see him with no neck brace. That's wrong.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Boys, what do you guys think? Over dramatizing? Is he all right? Like, what do you guys think of the action or of the chatter that has come out since the crash itself?
How long after like the ending of the actual Grand Prix did Max get the penalty?
It was
Right after.
yeah, got to be within a couple
So
hours.
they
if that.
probably was still selling it. Hey, look, my driver's injured. His neck hurts. It keeps getting tighter and tighter in his
I
neck.
mean, the only comment that Lewis made was that he might have to see a neck specialist with. But, I mean, listen.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, of course, man. He had a tire. You can see the tire marks on his helmet. Thank God the halo was there because it could have been worse. I don't think there was over dramatizing anything. I think just Lewis has his haters, as we always see. And I'll tell you what, Red Bull's guilty of doing the same thing after Silverstone. So it's just a part of the game. Nobody's over dramatizing anything. And honestly, I think Red Bull did even worse. I mean, did an even more egregious job of over dramatizing everything after Silverstone than Mercedes did here. So I don't see a big deal about it.
What do you think, Wallace?
No, so Max was accused of not caring, right? That he just walked away, didn't really pay too much attention to what could have been with Hamilton. The same was said about Lewis Hamilton and the Mercedes team after the crash at Silverstone. So it's like,
Yeah,
of course, if it's your rival, all right, okay, that sucks for you, but, I'm good.
It's a tit for tat. I mean, obviously, that's not Max's personality, but he did see him also reversing from there. And he said, listen, he said it after the race. He said, at that point, I mean, it seems like, he was okay. And you just, you don't, you let your heads cool and then you talk about it later if you have to talk about it. But I don't think it was something. I think Ricardo's right. I think that if something were egregiously wrong there, as far as like if he sees that Hamilton's not responding, then I think Max would have went over and tried to help or anything like that. So I just think it's just chatter back and forth. They're in a championship fight. This is good for Netflix.
Yep.
Two things.
Netflix was actually with McLaren this past
McLaren,
race.
yeah.
That's
Really?
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Perfect timing.
They gave him good luck.
Yeah.
They usually give everybody bad luck.
So two things. Like for example, can you imagine if Lewis' car would have backed out and he would have been continuing the race? That would have been a totally right. I just thought about that right now.
Yo.
And the other thing is there like a protocol that everyone has in place when something like this happens between drivers? No, it's just like an honor code that they have between themselves.
It's on honor.
But remember,
code.
not that, and even in videos you see on like of severe crashes in the past, not every driver stops.
No, because honestly, you're not really supposed to. But I mean, but you
Senna
did
does.
see Vettel.
Senna did.
Yeah, but you also saw Vettel. Vettel
Stop
stopped for
Lando?
For
Orlando, yeah.
But he didn't get out the car. He was just making sure that
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was,
But that counts.
Yeah.
Like,
but,
okay, yeah, I'm all right. Okay, let me keep going.
But like I said, I think Max saw Lewis was moving, so it's not like anything like that. But yeah, man. I mean, the protocol is you let the marshals handle it, and if you can drive by, you keep driving by because obviously you don't want cars on track.
It's like I always said, the actual crash that took place, the actual contact was not as severe, obviously until the car just jumped.
Yeah.
So that's when we made it that when there was no fire. That's where things just get on another level where there's like at least smoke coming out. There's a fire that you actually seeing the fire. That's when you're gonna right away, jump on and help. But
Well, listen,
okay, I jump on top of you. Thank God for the halo. But,
Yeah.
Obviously nobody knew the details at that point either. So he's still in the heat of the moment, like Ricardo said as well.
if it happened 3 years ago, it would have been more catastrophic. But also, if Grosjean's crash in Bahrain happened 2 years before that, maybe he wouldn't be with us. So it's just
Leclerc. Too.
yeah. But I mean, thank God they have the safety measures. This is why they put them in. Nothing more serious happened, and Lewis Hamilton can race another day and keep fighting for the championship.
There you go.
Guys, more importantly, what we're really here to talk about, Lewis Hamilton at the Met Gala. What did you guys think of his outfit? The white lace skirt.
Nah, I
White
mean,
lace. What?
it
What's
wasn't.
so funny? Really?
No, it's that. Obviously, I'm not a fashionista and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but,
you are. You're the most fashionable one out of all of us.
Yeah, right. Come on, whatever. But not on that level.
Yeah.
Like, I used...
Ruben, I've seen you in a lace skirt.
Oh my God.
You look cute.
Yancy,
too.
Yancy, please. There's something as a private life too, Yancy. Please.
Oh my God.
I think it looks good on you, bro.
On that level of fashionista, on that level as well, it's tough to... Obviously, I hope that doesn't make it to the street soon because I don't know if I'm going to be wearing a skirt.
Nah, I mean,
I do like to see my girl with a skirt, though.
I'll tell you what, the Met Gala is just a big costume party. From what he wanted, I mean, he had like that dress on in the Instagram pics, but I think it was just like the way he showed up wasn't obviously that bad because it was a suit. Maybe he had this thing like going down, but more importantly, what he was doing there, he actually bought an entire table for up and coming
Black fashion
designers to get them exposure into the world of fashion, and exposure that normally they wouldn't get if Lewis Hamilton had to take him there. So
How much is the table?
what was it, like $500,000 or something?
Something like that. That was just my guesstimate.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very expensive. We wouldn't be able to afford it.
Nah.
So
We're getting invited.
Ruben.
well, maybe Ruben. Ruben, you should take us to the Met Gala.
Hell no.
But yeah, I mean, he's staying true to his word as far as bringing awareness to people of color, and bravo to him, because like I said, if it wasn't for him, these young designers wouldn't get the exposure to that world, or to people that maybe can advance their careers. It's tough to do that, especially in fashion, but he was able to do that for them. Even if it doesn't go anywhere, at least he tried, and they get that experience, and they only grow because of that.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me that he did that. But it was actually very nice, the action that he did. That was super cool. But I thought he wasn't going to go see him with like a Tommy Hilfiger thing on or something like that. But then he saw
That would have made sense.
right?
Yeah. But I mean, he's been going to the Met Gala for the past few years, so he's definitely
Man, dude.
he definitely knows the right people, and he can. And as he's always stated, he wants to be able to give opportunities to talented people, whether it be in F1
Yeah,
or
he
in
does.
fashion, give him the opportunity to shine.
Well,
So
two industries I'm not in. Okay. Anything else on?
I thought you were an up and coming fashion designer, Wells.
I mean, I would have loved to.
Didn't you dress Ruben when he wore his skirt?
No,
No.
hell no. But I would have loved to run into Hamilton by Battery Park where he's running.
Yeah, absolutely. He's here in New York City. With that said, the Schumacher documentary came out last week. I forget what day it was. Came out last week.
Saturday or
I
Sunday?
think it was like Friday or something.
Yeah.
One of those days.
So it came out last week.
There you go.
I haven't watched it, but you guys both did. What did you think of the Schumacher documentary?
I thought it was very good. But the way, I mean, they didn't, it was obviously more of a, the way it led up to the Ferrari years was great because they showed that struggle to get to, get into Ferrari. It took them like a few years for even to start,
3, yeah.
To start being in championship contention. But I wanted to see more of the Ferrari years. Maybe that's just me as a Ferrari fan. It felt like they got to that point where he finally won, and they just like mentioned that he won 5 more championships with them.
Yeah.
But then obviously I think time constraints always come in, so they obviously wanted to get to the point where he had his accident and his life changed forever, and obviously we got to see his family and what they thought of him, but. He had a pretty remarkable career, pretty remarkable life.
Personal life too.
Yeah. One of the things that I got, obviously when it came to Senna, that was a big part of the documentary in '94 because he won his first championship in '94. And it reminds me of today how we see, a young Max Verstappen going up against a wily veteran 7-time champion, Lewis Hamilton. And how we were robbed of that rivalry because Schumacher was obviously an up and comer. He was in a championship winning car, and Senna was in the lead of that race in Imola in 1994, and obviously we all know how tragic that weekend was altogether.
Yep.
But Schumacher was right behind him, and then I didn't know this, but after Senna passed away tragically. The other Williams car, which was driven by Damon Hill, which is Graham Hill's son, and obviously he's a world champion. They were really, him and Schumacher was fighting to the end of the last race for that championship. So, and obviously the lead driver that year was Senna for Williams. So it would have been an epic fight, and it would have been great to see them go at it for the next few years, much like we're seeing now with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. So it just sucks that we got robbed of that, and we got robbed of a legend. We always Senna was still here with us. So.
What did you think, Ruben?
I think it showed me, because obviously I know of Schumacher and stuff like that, but I didn't know pretty much his beginnings as well. The struggles, the financial struggles that they had and stuff like that, where they were like running on tires that people were throwing out, and they were winning races. Little things like that.
I wouldn't say it was like financial because his family was well off, but he obviously his family ran a go-kart track, and he used to take like the old tires,
Exactly.
and still win from from those go-karts that used to run on the track. I mean, he was well off, but it was still a struggle either way just to get in.
Of course.
Yeah.
And also what one of the highlights for me was also the after Formula One life.
Yeah.
Where he just didn't retire and sat down in the backyard. No, he wanted to keep the thrills. So he was jumping off the planes and doing, obviously obviously that's where his accident came from. What he was doing, but he was enjoying life.
Yeah, and it shows you how these guys are built differently. Racing drivers and just are built differently. So
We are. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you're always, very competitive.
Even when his wife
giving us a hard time.
Even when his wife said about how many jumps he'd had, let's go to Dubai so we could jump from a plane. I'm like, dude,
these guys are.
We could. I wish.
They're like real life daredevils, man. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, man. I thought overall it was good. Like I said, I wish they would have maybe focus more on the legacy as far as like the Ferrari year.
But they did show where like Ferrari at one point was even doubting that did we pick the right guy?
Yeah, no. It was very good up until the point they won the first championship, and then after that first championship, they mentioned that he won the next 5 years, and we all know that. It would have been maybe a little bit more behind the scenes, how competitive he was, how he pushed that team, much like what Lewis Hamilton is doing now with Mercedes. Like, what are the struggles within that fight? Because obviously, one thing is to get there, and another thing is to stay there. And obviously, Mercedes is, they're breaking the records that Ferrari made from 2000 to 2005. It'd be good to see that fight, because obviously there's always fights within there.
Dude, I can't wait for that.
Also show the heads of FIA and Ferrari. And Formula One, Ross Brawn and John Todt.
Yep.
Yeah.
What they,
Yeah, they really had a dream team at Ferrari in those years.
Can't wait. That Hamilton documentary is gonna be sick.
Yeah, man.
But you have to watch this one first.
Okay, I'll watch it this time. It's been a tough week, man. You guys.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so from there, let's talk about a little more news. F1 confirms the plan, or their plan, for mandatory Friday running for young drivers. The term is rookie, but they haven't really defined what rookie is. This is an attempt to get, I guess, more new blood, more young blood into the F1 seats, because it's been very difficult over the last couple of years to get a seat.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some guys that should be able to qualify for those seats and be good drivers, be held out. We've also seen a lot of young talent come up. So that's something that I think Ross Brawn referenced. He's like, you now have George Russell, you have Lando, you have Charles Leclerc, etc. What does this kind of move mean for the constructors trying to get their program straight to be able to win? And what does this mean for young drivers? What do you guys think?
It's important for young drivers, and it's important for teams to get them behind the wheel to see them how they handle these cars. These are the fastest cars in the world. And obviously you have very little testing in these cars. You can do simulator work all you want, but it's not the same thing as real life. And it's just an opportunity for the rookie drivers to get more experience behind the seat. They have a program now in place, but it's kind of like mandatory for the teams. So not mandatory, but it's like voluntary, I should say.
Yeah.
So like Williams and Alfa Romeo are the ones that
they're the only ones
most.
that have. Like you've seen maybe Ryan
and maybe Haas.
Yeah, but you haven't seen much of that this season. So now if you make it mandatory, the teams have to run a young driver in their seat for I don't know how many sessions throughout the year. I think it's important for the young drivers. I think it's important for safety too, because we've also seen. Mazepin is a rookie, but he has obviously a lot of experience in F2. Has driven some in F1, but you can see how out of his league he is. If you get young drivers a little bit more experience, maybe they can come in. And obviously, if you have a driver out there that's not really experienced and and doing things that he shouldn't be doing, it's very dangerous for other drivers at the speeds that they're going.
Mick Schumacher had tests in what was it? The Alfa Romeo? Or was it the Ferrari itself?
He had a test in the Ferrari.
By test, I mean like he ran a practice session that I recall.
I know he was supposed to run
Alpha.
a test with Alpha, but that got rained out. Then he had a test with he did have a test with Haas.
I'm just saying it speaks to what you were saying about
there
Mazepin versus his own teammate.
There you go. They didn't have much. I think he got one practice session in Mick, if I'm not mistaken. But I know he got a run with Ferrari, but I don't know what the extent. Maybe it was a practice session, but I don't remember. I don't want to go out on a limb and say it was. But Mick Schumacher has had
and he also
one cars.
Also works to show the drivers that are coming up to give them some exposure. Because how many F2 races do I watch?
0.
Yeah, so
That's you.
That's
They're very popular.
Yeah, they're very popular.
no,
I'm very competitive at that.
And then other than that, also I think I read in the same article from Motorsport that McLaren doesn't have a young drivers program. So
No.
now they're going to have to start looking for that.
No, yeah, that's
So-
the whole thing. you need a way for these drivers to get real world experience. Again, I mean, if it's current F1 drivers don't get enough time in the car.
Yeah.
Imagine a young driver who's trying to make his way up. And obviously, an F1 car is very different than an F2 or F3 car. I mean, it's
also very different year by year.
Yeah, I mean, because these cars change. I mean, that's what's so hard about being an F1 driver. It's like, for example, you have a spec series in IndyCar where the car is more or less going to behave the same. You have some setup changes, but it's not major changes. With an F1 driver, your car can be different from 1 week to the next. And you have to adapt to it and drive as fast as possible and get points for your team. So,
yeah, because as new things come out, you have to put it in the car before the team next to you, because they're going to eventually catch up to that. So if you have it first, that makes you give it a little inch.
You know, I mean, F1 is a whole nother animal. I mean, and you can see F1 drivers go to, let's say, IndyCar, which I saw the race at Laguna Seca, or the IndyCar, and Roman Grosjean was killing it. I mean, he came from like 8th place the last few laps and just started overtaking everybody to get a podium. Yeah. So I mean, you go up there, you go to IndyCar, and you don't have to worry about much, and you're killing if you're an F1 driver.
Nice.
You know, and Marcus Harrison had a solid year. He was in the championship race up until the last week. So, I mean, it was a good race. Next week, I think 2 weeks from now, I got the finale at Long Beach. So,
is that a street track? Is that a street track?
Street track, yeah.
Nice.
And lastly, as far as our news, we are going to talk a little bit of Aston Martin. Maybe a little bit of Aston. Slow. He hit it.
Finally!
He hit a drop.
Finally! I think we're going to treat you like we treated Wellington last year for getting the podcast platforms out there. Train you well.
Okay. So Aston Martin confirms they picked up Vettel's option on his contract. Oh my God! Don't lose it now, guys. They picked up Vettel's option. Contract.
You shouldn't have said
I shouldn't have said anything. So they confirmed that Seb Vettel and Stroll will be back for 2022. Also,
surprise?
No.
Okay.
Also, Aston Martin finally broke ground on their new factory.
Jeez.
Tell us about it, Ruben. Tell us about their new factory.
I read an article earlier regarding. No, I mean, these people are really putting down the commitment to F1. Like, they're putting down building a facility between 150 to 200 million euros. You just don't drop that for something you plan to lose. And remember, this guy's promise was to win a championship between 3 or 5 years. So this is the kind of things you have to do that. I'm talking about a place with like its own wind tunnel and all that stuff.
The issue that they're having now is obviously as they keep hiring more people, they have to rent temporary buildings, but it's not all in one place.
Jeez.
So we've all been in, well, obviously you've been in a corporate setting, but you got to kind of be in a place so you can talk and get ideas and get things out, especially when you're talking about F1 cars and building a car and engineering and manufacturing. I mean, it's a lot. And if you don't have everything all over in one place, if you want to compete with a Mercedes, you want to compete with a Ferrari or a McLaren, you kind of have to have these facilities, especially now where these teams are going to gain more value because you have a cost cap. So there's more incentive to stay in F1 than leave F1 now.
Right.
And that was the goal by Liberty Media when they come and they came and bought the Formula One series and Formula One management. So you can see that Aston Martin is here to stay. They're making the investments, but they also mentioned in that article that it's going to be the reverse MTC, which is the McLaren Technology Center, because everything is going to have a purpose. I think that what I think is a dig at McLaren, and it's kind of true. When Ron Dennis built the MTC,
with his own two hands,
in 2004.
Yeah, it was more to be aesthetically pleasing, but it wasn't conducive to
to the actual work.
to the actual work and
Wow, man.
making everything run.
And that place was gorgeous.
Yeah.
By the
You
way.
hear he's just dropping it, aesthetically pleasing, conducive. What else? All these vocabulary words. Man.
Damn, bro, you bashing on my
I'm still here.
education?
Yes, I'm still here.
You bashing on my education?
I'm still here.
No, but
I'm
you're
not-
right.
With the words, I have not run away yet.
It's got to be a cohesive. Like we have a hard time. Like Yhancy said, I'm in corporate, but I'm in construction, so there's a lot of temporary facilities, and we have a hard time with making sure everybody's involved and the ideas are communicated and all the news is communicated throughout the whole team. I can't imagine what it's like running
On that one team.
We're building a building. It's easy
Yeah.
compared to something as complex and technical as a Formula One car.
Which is a camp.
Meaning in a meeting, you're like, who's here from engineering?
Yeah.
Oh, they'll be back tomorrow into the building. They're in the other building.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what,
Let's zoom in.
what you also have to take into account too, like for example, you have McLaren and you have Ferrari, who are also manufacturers. Not so much Mercedes, because obviously Mercedes' home base is in Stuttgart, but they have their F1 headquarters in Brackley and Brickell, I think, whatever. I forget. But
Brickell's Miami, dude.
is it Brickell? I can't wait for the Miami GP. Anyways, but these are companies that also build and manufacture road cars. And obviously, they take there's some carryover in technology between these race cars and road cars. They all have GT programs as well, and that's all under one roof. So you can feed off each other and take different technologies and put them in different areas of your company, which is something that they also what Lawrence Stroll mentioned, that they're gonna be branching out. Actually, they hired Martin.
Brundle?
No. Martin, was it White Marsh? Or?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
Whitmarsh.
The Whitmarsh, former McLaren F1 boss, to bring in all these technologies together to see where they can branch out in other areas, where the technology that they use in building these race cars, they can sell it and be beneficial for other industries. So,
Under a cost cap.
well, I mean,
No, it's
the cost cap is for the racing
I know,
team.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
other thing. But it's just, you can see the commitment.
That they-
You can see, obviously, that Lawrence Stroll is an investor, not only just in the racing team, but he owns a racing team, but he's an investor in the Aston Martin as far as their road cars. You can see how they're marrying this stuff together, and they just have one big campus where they can, grow and be a competitive F1 team, which is great for us because we have another team that wants to compete for the championship. More competition, better drama, baby.
Lance Stroll needs to start investing in me.
Lawrence, Larry.
Big Larry.
Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. So, all right, from there, let's jump into our Russian Grand Prix preview. So, Ruben will lead us in our Ruben, the question master. Go ahead and lead
Question master.
us. Yep, quiz master.
Whoa. Let's do an easy one that I found.
Easy one.
Yeah, this one just...
There we go.
Okay. Name the driver that was officially nicknamed the Torpedo at the Russian Grand Prix.
Kvyat. Daniel Kvyat.
What you said?
Daniel Kvyat.
Wow.
By,
His home
by
race.
Vettel,
By Sebastian Vettel.
because he torpedoed Vettel.
How many Russian drivers have competed in their home Grand Prix? What are your Google search?
3?
Name them.
Kvyat. Sorokin.
Yeah.
Who's the third? I don't know the third.
Well, how you know it's 3? Well, that's the right answer.
Yeah.
He forgot the one that's active now.
He never
He's not.
raced there, so
He has not
sure.
raced there, and he's not under the Russian flag.
Yeah.
So technically,
So technically I'm wrong.
You're.
But I'm
wrong.
right. But I named
I was gonna
both
say
of them.
2.
But I did name both of them.
Okay, so 2. Sorokin.
No, the answer is 3 with Mazepin, but he hasn't competed. He will compete this year.
Dude, but that wasn't the question. Okay, next question.
Hold on, what was it?
Oh man.
Name the team besides Mercedes to have a driver at pole position at the Russian Grand Prix.
Ferrari.
Yep, Charles
Yeah, he got
Leclerc.
it. That's it. And Vettel.
Both of them?
Yeah. They had Vettel in 2017 and Leclerc in 2019.
Yeah. I think Vettel won in 2017.
No.
No, it was Bottas' first win, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. It's close, though.
He just fucking said that. My bad. He just said the next answer. Whatever.
2017.
Yeah.
What was the question?
No, it was something related to Bottas. Forget it now.
favorite track.
Keep my mouth shut.
So let's go into the history now. Obviously, there's not too much history to discuss from this place since it's been in the calendar since 2014, and I'm pretty sure most people that have been there have fallen asleep. But it isn't. I found out that it was supposed to happen actually in 1984, right after the Summer Olympics. But this one happened in obviously 2014, 8 months after the Winter Olympics was staged. Like I said, the race has been known to be a snooze fest. In 2017, there was an extension signed, so we could see a Russian Grand Prix all the way through 2025. In 2023, it will be moving to, I don't know if I'm saying the name, Igora Drive.
Igora Drive, yeah. Igora Drive.
Because obviously the lack of fans in this place is what's pushing them to bring changes.
They know it's boring.
That track looks like it has a way better layout than this.
No, because I was at Sochi, you know? And, you know, actually it has not been flavored. It has not been blessed with overtaking. So that's not much action.
90-degree turn.
It was actually in 2020, which is last year, it was one of the few races that was held on their original scheduled date in the calendar. Most races obviously was shifted around and stuff like that. Most races didn't happen. And it was held behind, I think it was the only one with fans last year.
Oh, yeah, that's
the
right.
only fans one.
The only fan. It was at 50% capacity. This year will be also at 50% capacity. Highlights on this place have been, obviously, Mercedes has won all 7 Grand Prix so far. That to answer your question. Ferrari's, you know, like I said earlier in the question, Ferrari's the only team besides Mercedes to be at pole. It was Bottas' first Grand Prix, like I said earlier in 2017.
First Grand Prix win.
Yes, Bottas' first Grand Prix win, I'm sorry. In 2018, Team Motors came into play where Bottas was leading and did the switch with Hamilton so he could...
That was the Valtteri James? Was it?
Yeah, I think it was. Was it? Yeah, I think it was.
He was asked to switch places with Hamilton to help Black Better from catching up.
Yes.
And also last year there was a big crash when with Carlos Sainz followed Max into the runoff, but Max made the turn. Carlos Sainz didn't, and he had the big crash in that corner where the car was almost.
Turn 5? Was it?
I did not even search the turn. I just remember the highlights passing. I was, oh my god, it had to happen in this thing. And that's all I got for history. There's nothing here. What do you got for history, Wells?
I got nothing, dog.
How about you, Yhancy? Do you remember anything?
Yeah, the only thing I remember was the Ferrari, the duo of Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel bubbling over this track. I think it was last year, where Leclerc got pole. Oh no, was it Vettel? No, Leclerc got pole.
Oh,
2019 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 2019. Yeah, Leclerc got pole, and they were supposed to give each other a slipstream because they were the favorites to win. And that's when things started really getting nasty between Vettel and Leclerc.
So that's the interesting part of this track. That first, when you start this track, it's turn 1 is essentially like non-existent, right?
Yeah,
it's
just a kink.
It's just a kink. It's essentially a very, very, very long straight in which,
and it's wide too,
and very wide. Great for overtaking. And that's what's been happening the last couple of years. That on the rundown to turn 2, the tow from the cars in front really assists the drivers 2 and 3 and 4 coming up behind them. So
it's really like the only good spot for overtaking.
Yeah.
Really. You could say that or maybe turn 13, but you don't see a lot of overtakes there either. So it's a 90-degree turn, bro. The 90-degree turn, especially when the first corners.
We're going to see. I feel like we've seen some crazy overtaking on these wide turns. In like Austria, we saw a bunch of that.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a major problem for Max Verstappen, right? If Perez doesn't qualify at or near the top.
Or if they don't, like if it happens again, like it happened in Monza when he didn't get a tow, that he couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that the issue is going to be at the start of the race, past qualifying. If it's the two Mercedes and Max Verstappen, there's no way he wins. If he's on pole, third, second, whatever it is, he's going to get blocked out.
Because both, and also both Hamilton and Bottas go well here. I mean, it's a Mercedes track.
It's a Mercedes track.
Every single year since 2014. And obviously they're fast on straights, which is their strength this year. The Red Bull's better through the corners, but
there's not a lot here.
It's not a lot here. It's 90-degree turns. It's not like you have to go through tight corners or anything like that.
What is it? Sector 3's got... It starts with like a hairpin and then like it gets a couple of 90s.
I mean, that's where you're probably gonna see the Red Bull, pull some lap time in. But as far as that, the rest of the track is all Mercedes.
So our predictions I'll go first for even for qualifying: Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, and then probably Lando and then Danny Ricciardo, if he keeps it up. Yeah. I think the Mercedes engines are going to be crazy killer again this race.
Yeah, and McLaren has the sail in their winds, to say the least, after last weekend. He
never left for the weekend.
I see Bottas taking pole, followed by Hamilton, and then we'll see Verstappen. And then say Danny Rick and then Ricciardo. I think it'll be
Rick and then Ricciardo.
Danny Rick and
Ricciardo. He's going to go twice.
No, like, what?
He's going to be so fast.
Yep. Yeah. He's going to outshine Lando.
Not Danny Rick, then Lando. But it'll be close between Leclerc and Lando for that fifth spot. And maybe Gasly will get in the mix too, man. Gasly's driving real well.
He out of the 14 races, he's gotten six. He's qualified sixth in 6 races.
Yeah,
that's pretty good, I think, for an AlphaTauri. Ruben, what do you think?
No, it's going to be that. It's going to be a Mercedes track. Qualifying will be, I think Bottas will out-qualify Hamilton in this one.
Really?
Yeah. And
he's a great qualifier, dude.
He is.
Especially on this track. He kills it. But here is where you don't want to be the top.
I know, exactly. But that's what's going to happen. Yeah. That's why I said it.
Well, he did back. He did. I think, wasn't it last year where he, kind of on purpose, he said, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but he when it came in second, he thought it was better for him to be in second, but then he just boggled the start.
Yeah. I think it was last year here, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, where he couldn't get off the brakes, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be qualifying will be Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen. If Danny Rick carries the momentum, he'll be there in fourth and fifth for Lando. Not far behind, obviously, by Leclerc. And the race is not gonna be just a little switch around with the drivers. Watch, it's gonna be Hamilton winning, Bottas second, Verstappen third.
You agree?
Yeah, I mean, because as good as a qualifier as Bottas is,
he's not a race winner.
No, he's fast. I mean, Hamilton's just faster than him.
Well,
and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that he's just faster than him.
Beyond that, if Bottas is ahead, I 100% see team orders coming into play.
Yeah,
this season it has to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think now you have to do it.
Yeah,
and I don't think Bottas will find anything wrong with that at this point. He's out of the championship.
But we're forgetting one thing: Max has grid penalties, and I think he's going to start from the back.
Right.
He has a new engine.
Right.
So that's something that we're going to get to. Thank you, Ruben. 3-place grid penalty is the result of the accident.
So the highest he can start will be fourth?
The absolute highest he could start is fourth, yes.
If he qualifies.
However,
out-qualifies Hamilton.
What's his name? Helmut Marko said on Twitter today, or he was quoted on Twitter today as having said that they're not going to make a determination as far as changing the engine and taking that penalty until Saturday. Bullshit. Right? You have to take it now, and that's just kind of gamesmanship to just kind of throw Mercedes off of the scent there.
Yeah.
I think you got to take it here, right? Because you're already taking 3 places.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, you got to take it anyway, so.
If he would have taken it.
And this would probably be the track to do it because they're not very strong on this track, so.
Not that they're not very strong. This current iteration of the Red Bull car is strong, but not as strong as the Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, and then the races that are coming up after this, you have Turkey, U.S., Mexico, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi. These are all tracks now that will swing in the favor of Red Bull. So, I would take it here. I mean, it's either that or maybe the other track to take it would be, I mean, I don't think the engine will get to Saudi Arabia because it's penultimate race. And then you might have another race on the 19th, which is, it looks like what, Qatar? Qatar.
So this is the place to take it. You got to go. This is a track that, like you said, they're not going to really be favored to win. It's not their style of track, so just do it now and get it out of the way.
Right.
Aside from that, I want to talk about some teams. Alpine. They have been steadily improving last couple of races. Last year we were saying this is a Renault type of track, right?
Mm-hmm.
High speed. What do we see from them? Do we see continued improvement? Do we see them challenging for 6th, 7th, 8th? Ocon has been great. Fernando Alonso still got it. Never left, just like Danny Rick.
Yeah.
Do we see potentially a surprise here?
They've said that they should be back to normal. Monza to get the result that they got at Monza was actually pretty good for them because they weren't expecting much. But this track actually suits them a little bit better because you have more corners. I mean, Monza's straight up like just quick. So this will suit them better. I feel that they'll be. They'll be right after the Ferraris, maybe fighting with the AlphaTauris. But they'll be up there. But I don't see them competing with a McLaren or a Ferrari. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think.
But they'll be in the points.
They'll definitely be in the points. Both cars.
Mm-hmm.
They've been obviously they've been trying to maintain themselves in the points. Obviously, incident happens in front of them, so they take advantage of all of that. But
so then baseline would be like 9 and 10, right? If you have
if they're
the Mercedes, the Red Bulls, the McLarens, and the Ferraris, that's 8 cars, and then 9 and 10 Alpine.
Yeah, if they don't score points with both cars, it would be a disappointment for them.
Yes, in this race.
Even if it's like 1 or 2 points.
You don't think Gasly will be fighting up there?
Yeah, he will. He will.
I think this is going to be set up for like a good qualifying, more so than a good race.
I mean, where you qualify is going to be important. Obviously, when you get to the midfield, they're a little bit, bunched up closer, a little bit, more together. But yeah, it depends. I mean, I definitely don't see Sonoda up there, but Gasly would probably be the only one that would be.
He would curse you out right now if he heard you say that. So Aston Martin, not even worth talking about.
Nah, man. I mean,
Williams, not even unless Stroll or Vettel pull a rabbit out of their hat, not even worth talking about, right?
No.
Yeah.
AlphaTauri we just talked about. Haas, nothing. Williams has been okay. They've been scoring points.
They haven't been bad.
They've been scoring points, but it's like when cars go out, they've been able to score.
But
remember Gio is also on the grind.
We should talk
Alfa
about
Romeo,
should talk about Haas. It's a fierce teammate battle there.
Fierce teammate battle. 0 versus 0.
Yeah, they hate each other.
Now,
I don't know.
Now they keep freaking. All right, well.
They hate each other. The race for last, baby. The race for last.
No, there's definitely going to be like towards I would say 6, 7, 8 and stuff like that. It's going to be obviously Gasly has solidified 6 for him place, but 7, 8, and 9, all of those places. Because if Giovinazzi has a qualifying like he did in Monza, he'll be in top 10.
That's the man, the Bergamo bullet, baby. Guys, anything else before we wrap this thing up?
Yhancy?
No. Good.
All right, so
Off to Russia.
Da.
Dos vidania.
What?
Jump to Start Racing Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart Radio, TuneIn, and Stitcher. That's where you could find us on podcast players. We're also on YouTube. Jump to Start Racing Podcast. Hello. At Jump to Start F1 on Twitter and Instagram. Come through, say hi. Check out our memes. Check out our postings. Say hi via Twitter at Jump to Start F1 again for those that missed it. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you've seen more than one video. Please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, hit that bell, thumbs up, etc. Leave a review for us if you can on any of the podcast platforms. I'll repeat them again: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Stitcher.
God, you're so good at that.
And until next time, enjoy the race.
Peace.
Peace.